Welcome back to our channel, soap fans. It is a wild Wednesday, and we need to the walls just completely caved in on Michael Corinthos, forcing a devastating, impossible choice that shatters. A single spiked drink just detonated a romance, shifting the entire momentum of Port Charles and leaving a trail of broken hearts. React first, explain later, right? But seriously, how do you take one of the most refreshing, dynamic characters to hit Port Charles in years and just ship her off with a fat bang? I have been watching this show since 2015, and I have seen a lot of it. I have watched them tear apart couples for shock value. Remember when they tried this kind of abrupt exit with Sabrina Santiago? Yeah, didn't work then either. But this one hurts differently because Jacinda and Michael actually had something real. They had this incredible, messy, complicated chemistry that you just cannot fake. And now it is over because of one terrible, desperate mistake. I am so mad at Jacinda, I'm so mad at Michael, and I'm so mad at the universe for making this the only logical outcome. Let's just rewind a bit because we need to talk about the absolute journey Paige Herschel. Do you guys remember the 23rd of April, 2025? That was her debut. She was literally just supposed to be a short-term. Nina Reeves and Portia Robinson hired her to drug Drew Kane. That was it. She was a plot device, a pawn in someone else's game. But Paige brought so much fire, so much underlying vulnerability to that initial stint that the writers had no choice but to bring her back. And when they brought her back in September of that same year, everything shifted. She became Michael's alibi. It was supposed to be a fake romance to cover his track, a transactional arrangement. But then the lines blurred, and we got to watch them fall hard. I love a good fake dating trope, I really do, but GH actually nailed it. Michael Corinthos is a character who has been through the absolute ringer with women. From Nell Benson's psychotic reign of terror to the tragic heartbreak of Sasha Gilmore, and then the absolute exhausting roller coaster that was his marriage. Michael always tries to be the white knight. He always tries to save the damsel. But Jacinda wasn't a damsel. Jacinda was a survivor. She matched his dark. He understood the gray areas of his world in a way Willow never. Willow is always up on her high horse, judging everyone, but Jacinda just accepted Michael for exactly who he was. And that is why I am so frustrated with how this. I know some people are loving this. I see the forums. I know the Willow stans are throwing a party right now because the evil girlfriend is gone. But personally, I think Jacinda was the best thing to happen to Michael in years. She made him interesting again. She gave him a spine. But, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, back to the point. The incident, the absolute catastrophe that led to this August 11th. Jacinda was angry. She was furious over the restraining order that Willow threw at her. Willow was constantly playing the victim while actively trying to destroy everyone around her, and Jacinda just snapped. She wanted to protect Michael. She wanted to neutralize the threat that Willow poses to his custody of Wiley. So she goes to Ezra Boyle. She scores the drug, and she spikes Willow's iced latte. I was screaming at my television. I literally yelled, "No, Jacinda, what are you doing?" Because the second she dropped those pills into that cup, she signed her own exit. You cannot drug the mother of a legacy character's children and expect to stick around for Sunday dinner at the quarter. It is the ultimate soap opera unwritten rule. And the tension in that scene, when Nina's coffee was sitting right next to Willow's, I thought for sure Nina was going to drink it and we'd have a whole different tragedy on. But no, Willow drinks. And then the absolute horror show that followed. Willow gets looped. She starts acting completely off the rails due to the drug. And what does she do? She grabs her keys and tries to take Wiley and Amelia to the arcade. "Last one to the car is a rotten egg," she yelled. My heart was in my throat. Jacinda didn't just drug Willow. She inadvertently put those innocent children in the crosshairs of a potential fatal car. And that is the line you cannot cross with Michael. Michael is a lot of things. He can be ruthless, he can be cold, he can act like a corporate raider, but above all else, Michael is a father. His children are his entire world. When he found out what Jacinda did, you could literally see his heart shatter into a million. The confrontation scene was a masterclass. Chad Duell and Paige Herschel acted their absolute face. Michael's reaction was pure, unadulterated shock and fury. "You drugged the mother of my children?" He couldn't even process it at first. Jacinda was a weepy mess. She knew she took it too far. She thought she was helping. She thought she was giving Michael the ultimate leverage in the custody war by making Willow look unfit. But she became the very monster that Michael is trying to protect his kids. It was a tragic, Shakespearean level of irony. She destroyed her own relationship to save. So Michael makes the impossible choice. He has to cut her loose. He cannot have a woman in his life who is willing to risk the safety of Wiley and Amelia, no matter how much he loves her. And you could tell he still loves her. The agony in his eyes when he told her it was over. I was sobbing. I am not ashamed to admit it. I was crying right along with her, because you could see the exact moment her heart. She realized that her desperate act of love was the very thing that severed their bond forever. But can we talk about the exit package for a second? Michael sends her out of town with a hefty bank account so she can have a fresh start. I mean, on one hand, it's a very Corinthos thing to do. Throw money at the problem. Ensure the person you care about is taken care of financially, even if you can't be with them emotionally. But on the other hand, it felt so cold. It felt like a payoff. Here's a couple of $1 million. Thanks for the memories. Please don't ever come back and remind me of. Jacinda accepted it because what else could she do? She knew she was beat. She knew she crossed the point of no return. Her tearful exit on August 11 was one of the most gut-wrenching goodbyes I have seen on. She looked back at him, knowing that their relationship was doomed from the start. They were two broken people who found solace in each other, but ultimately, their demons were too incompatible. I am gonna miss Paige Herschel so much. She took a character that was literally just a plot device to drug Drew Kane and turned her into a complex, sympathetic, deeply flawed human being. That takes serious talent. SOD confirmed this was a storyline-dictated exit, which means the writers knew exactly what. They built Jacinda up just to tear her down and use her as the catalyst for the next phase of Michael's storyline. And oh boy, what a phase it is going to be. Because now that Jacinda is gone, Michael has nothing left to lose and everything to fight. Willow is armed with those blood tests. She is barging into the Q mansion demanding full custody. She is threatening to reopen the investigation into Drew's shooting to ruin Michael in the court of public. Trina and Kai are stepping in to help Michael fight back. This custody war is about to get so incredibly toxic, and I am absolutely dreading it, but I also know I won't be able to look away. Plus, Michael is now diving headfirst into the deception drama. With Maxie out of the picture, and Serena Baldwin back in town acting as Lucy Coe's heavy hitter, Michael is flexing his power in ways we haven't seen in a long time. He's acting like a ruthless corporate raider, and maybe that's his coping mechanism. Maybe crushing people in the boardroom is how he deals with the fact that he just had to banish the woman he loves from Port Charles. Let's really think about Michael's track record for a second, because it explains everything about why he reacted the way he did. Remember Nell Benson? I mean, how could we forget the literal psychopath who gaslit this entire town, slashed throats, and manipulated Michael into thinking? Nellie was a masterclass in manipulation, and she used Michael's inherent need to save people against him. Then there was Sabrina Santiago. Sweet, innocent Sabrina, who was abruptly killed off. Michael has this deep-seated trauma when it comes to the women in his life, either turning out to be monsters or ending up in body. So when Jacinda came along, she was this perfect middle ground. She wasn't a saint, but she wasn't a serial killer. She was just real. She was gritty. She made mistakes, but she owned them. And that brings me back to the pill. The Ezra Boyle of it all. I can't stop thinking about the sheer desperation Jacinda must have felt to track Ezra down. Ezra is already up to his eyeballs in Jen Sidwell drama, dealing with Detective Joe Fitzpatrick breathing down his neck at the PCPD. And here comes Jacinda, demanding a favor. You could see the wheels turning in her head. She justified it to herself. She probably thought, Willow is already unstable, she's already keeping secrets about Drew. If I just push her over the edge, Michael wins. It is that classic soap opera logic, where the villainous act is done out of twisted love. Jacinda wasn't trying to hurt Michael. She was trying to hand him the ultimate victory on a silver platter. But she completely underestimated the collateral damage. What makes this breakup even more agonizing is what happened right before it. Literally days before this catastrophe, we saw Serena Baldwin decked out in her most seductive swimsuit at the Metro Court pool trying to honeypot Michael. Lucy Coe sent Serena in to seduce Michael out of his deception. And what did Michael do? He shut it down. He immediately recognized the trap and he brought up the huge hurdle standing in Serena's way. Jacinda. He was loyal to her. He was actively turning down a gorgeous legacy character because he was committed to just that level of devotion from Michael Corinthos is rare. He was all in, which makes the betrayal of the drugged coffee sting a million times worse. And let's talk about Willow for a second, because I have opinions. Am I the only one who thinks Willow brings out the absolute worst in people? She plays a saintly victim so well, but she is currently holding a locked-in Drew Kane hostage with paralytic. She is literally torturing her current husband while playing the moral superior to her ex-husband. It is infuriating. Jacinda saw right through Willow's act. Jacinda saw the hypocrisy. When Willow slapped that restraining order on Jacinda, it was an act of war. Jacinda's retaliation was extreme, yes, but can we honestly say Willow didn't push her to the brink? The confrontation at the Quartermain mansion after Willow sobered up was cinematic perfection. Willow barging in, waving those blood test results around like a weapon. Giovanni Gio Palmieri standing there looking completely baffled as Willow screams about being drugged. And Michael, poor Michael, he tried to dispose of the cup. He tried to cover Jacinda's tracks because his first instinct was still to protect. But you can't outrun a blood. Once Willow had the medical proof, Michael's hands were tied. If he stayed with Jacinda, Willow would use it in family court to prove Michael exposes their children to a dangerous. He would lose Wiley and Amelia. It's brilliant writing. I hate to admit it. I hate it because it cost us Jacinda, but structurally, it is a masterpiece of soap opera plot. Every action has a react. Jacinda's desperate act of love triggered a nuclear bomb that is going to decimate the Corinthos and Quartermain families for the rest. Because look at what is happening now. Trina Robinson and Kai Taylor are stepping into the ring. They found out about the latest custody issues and they are offering to help Michael destroy Willow. They are bringing up the fact that Willow shot Drew Kane. They want to use that as leverage to ruin Willow in the court of public. This isn't just a family dispute anymore. This is a full-blown war. And Jacinda was the first major casualty. If Jacinda hadn't drugged that coffee, Willow wouldn't have the ammunition she has now, and Michael wouldn't be forced to ally with Trina and Kai to launch a counter. I keep asking myself, is this really the end for Jacinda? Soaps are notorious for bringing people back from the dead, let alone from a well-funded ex. Could she pop back up in a year? Maybe with a secret Corinthos baby? Oh my god, can you imagine? If Jacinda comes back in 2027 with a toddler, Willow would literally spontaneously combust. I kinda want that to happen just for the sheer chaos. But for now, the reality is setting in. Paige Herschel is out. Jacinda Bracken is gone. It is a massive loss for the canon. We are losing a character who brought unpredictability and edge. We are losing a fantastic actor. And we are losing a couple that actually had. I know Michael has to focus on his kids in this war with Willow, but I can't help but feel like he is going to be so much more isolated. He doesn't have that person who just gets his dark side. He is back to being the lone Corinthos heir, fighting a battle on multiple. I'm gonna need a few days to recover. The emotional whiplash of watching Jacinda go from a fiercely protective girlfriend to a desperate, weeping mess, being handed a severance package by the man she loved. It's just too much. I need to know, I'm not crazy for feeling. I need to know that other people saw the magic that Paige Herschel brought to this. So, as I sit here staring at my screen, chugging my own unspiked coffee, I just have to say thank you for making Jacinda unforgettable. Thank you for making me care about a character I originally thought was just a throwaway. You will be missed, and Port Charles is going to be a lot less interesting without you. Will Michael's ruthless new custody strategy actually destroy Willow, or will this war cost him everything? Drop your wildest theories in the comments below, and subscribe for more GH.